Hello boys and girls, Adam Nicholas here for What Culture Wrestling, and today's video is about change. It's about change in the WWE, it's about change in the sports entertainment landscape, but most importantly about change in my feelings, maybe your feelings towards the current product and the direction that the company are currently headed in. Now I don't just want this to be a typical kind of rant about WWE, because let's be honest, it's really easy to rant about WWE. They have got such a vast machine, they put out so much content, so many programs, they cover so much ground, it's going to be easy to find something you don't like. If you want to find something you hate, you're probably going to find it. And that's absolutely fine, because everything can't be for everyone, and normally for everything you don't specifically like about the product, there tends to be a ton of stuff elsewhere that comes with it that you probably do. But in the aftermath of WWE Crown Jewel, and what an aftermath that is, by the way, it seems like the problem in WWE has never really been clearer. We've reached a point where the company are now making a product where it seems like everything is not for anyone anymore. We've actually reached a point where the good stuff is vastly outweighed by the bad stuff, if there's even any good stuff at all, and the audience that we're catering for is an audience of one. And that audience just so happens to be one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I'm Adam Nicholas, this is What Culture Wrestling, and it's official, a new era has begun in WWE. So there's this massive juxtaposition in WWE at the moment. As a company, they're absolutely booming. The depth of talent available to them has never been better. The facilities they've got at their disposal are world class, and their brand presence continues to expand far and wide across the globe. But as a fictional universe, one we're supposed to receive with the integrity of continuity, it's an absolute disgrace, or at least it would be a disgrace, were it not for the fact that Vince McMahon's obsession with pissing off the WWE universe is absolutely ridiculous. So ridiculous, in fact, that you've almost got to take a step back and just applaud the man. Because how can anybody be that good at pissing off that many people? WWE promoted Crown Jewel last Friday, and it bravely, almost hilariously, led us into a brand new era. Drew a line in the desert sands of Saudi Arabia, and then steamrolled past that line in hilarious fashion into the brand new era that we're calling the so bad it's good era. Because let's be honest, how on earth are you supposed to receive this product other than absolute hilarity? If you're going to get any enjoyment out of this anymore whatsoever, this current WWE product that they're putting out, then surely the only way to look at it is from a comedy vantage point. When the Saudi Arabia deal was announced, it brought with it an air of definitive paradigm-busting change because the deal was so bloody lucrative. But when you look at that deal, it's such a big investment, it was always going to come with a hefty receipt. And it's a receipt that is apparently so demanding that not even alleged murder and mutilation were powerful enough to stop it. From the get-go, WWE have been tempting fate with all of this, but again, it didn't seem to stop them from bringing Shawn Michaels out of retirement. It didn't seem to stop them from putting D-Generation X and the Brothers of Destruction in the main event. And it certainly didn't seem to stop them from making that match 27 minutes and 48 seconds long, despite how lackluster the main event was at WWE Super Showdown. But as we all know, when it comes to fate, well, fate has a tendency to answer the call. Okay, have you ever seen the 1992 film Death Becomes Her? If you haven't, basically it's very simple. Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn play these two characters who become obsessed with maintaining their youthful beauty. So in order to remain forever young, they ingest this potion. It's a magical potion, basically makes them immune to death, and as a result, they cannot die. But the only problem is, spoiler alert, death is inevitable. So, as the title suggests, death becomes them in the form of these terrifically disgusting visual gags that were actually so good they won an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. There's a little tidbit to take to the pub. But basically, Meryl Streep's character gets her head turned all the way backwards and manages to survive, while Goldie Hawn's character gets a shotgun blast to the abdomen and survives, but just has the inconvenience of a large hole in her chest. Not exactly ideal. So tying this all back together, then Shawn Michaels in a return match that basically was so uninspiring and sullied by greed that our dormant dreams became a literal living nightmare, had to carry a disaster of a match when fate wasted little time to wreak havoc on the main event in Saudi Arabia. Triple H tore one of his pectoral muscles early in the match, which left HBK in the driving seat of what was essentially a knackered, rusty, spluttering Vauxhall Nova of a match, with a mortician riding shotgun and the actual mayor of Knox County in the back seat. As Michaels made his comeback against the sluggish, out-of-shape government official Glenn Jacobs, literally masquerading as a demon at this point, he reached for Kane's head, but the fate that nobody can ignore, not even the ever-young heroes of the Attitude Era, intervened once again for an absolutely hilarious moment. Kane's mask and wig fell off. Repeat, Kane's mask and fucking wig fell off his head. Literally fell off his head. What are you meant to do with that? How are you supposed to take that seriously? But fate wasn't done there though. Despite the valiant efforts of Triple H with one arm, which kind of resulted in some really hilarious Irish whips on the outside of the ring, as well as the Big Red Machine choke-slamming the game through an announce table that still had the monitors on, as if Triple H wasn't having a bad enough night, Kane. Jesus Christ. But the worst image for me, that one final nail in the coffin, was that of The Undertaker. Stitched back at the seams with Saudi blood money, the dead man used the last fumes in his rather large tank to blow an errant strand of hair away from his face as the match slowly crawled to its conclusion. And not even the great and almighty dead man could do anything to rectify this one. Out of breath, out of time, and out of luck, to be perfectly honest, he collapsed to the mat in a heap, his head twisted backwards, a hole in his abdomen, wondering why he was unable to die. When will his character be allowed to rest in peace? You know, the more that I think about this, we're probably going to need a better analogy than Death Becomes Her, because Death Becomes Her was actually quite good on purpose. If we're going to replicate the current WWE product in the form of a film, then we're probably going to need one that was the so bad it was good masterpiece. And what better film to use for that than Tommy Wiseau's The Room? Now, if you haven't seen that film, I suggest you pause this video and go and watch it right now, because everything about that film is the antithesis of good filmmaking, much like WWE's current product and storytelling. So by default, it's almost impressively awful. Harrowing copy and pasted scenes shot and acted by ultra bizarre characters, inexplicably abandoned subplots, and dialogue that sounds like it was written by aliens pretending to be humans. There's even a bit in that film where we see the sun setting over San Francisco over and over again. Now, normally in films, that's a technique used to show time is passing, but in the actual film, no time passes whatsoever. So basically, the passing of time means absolutely nothing. I mean, I'm not being funny, but does that not sound very, very familiar? A crown jewel, Shane McMahon won the inaugural WWE World Cup, a tournament weeks in the making that he wasn't even a part of, where the only actual stake was to determine the quote-unquote best in the world. But good old Shane O'Mac, always the hero, came and filled in for The Miz when he got injured in the final against Dolph Ziggler. Shane then beat the show off in the final to become the best in the world. Holy shit. How is that a sentence? And he got a collective sigh, a collective noise, a collective gasp, maybe, of utter astonishment and also total indifference from the WWE universe. Even if this was meant to be a wonderfully antagonistic heel turn, and that may yet be the case, did they really have to do this at the expense and through the pretext of a tournament, a big tournament with loads of people involved, and abandon a bunch of subplots along the way, and have Shane shouting stupid words, just one word, SmackDown, yeah, in like a completely inexplicable, unnatural fashion as he did a victory lap around the ring? Much like The Room then, this passage of time really meant nothing at all, truth be told, and more often than not in WWE, it never bloody does. But it should, shouldn't it? It really should. Surely this should matter, shouldn't it? Does randomly having The Miz, arguably the company's top heel, in some sort of semi-babyface, sympathetic role in the final of that tournament just not matter? Does having 8 people in that tournament, also other superstars, as collateral damage, does that just not matter either? Does potentially WWE's new biggest, baddest heel being a 48-year-old part-time non-wrestler, does that not matter? Does that not matter anymore? Because to be honest, to me, it feels like that should matter, but I just don't think it does anymore. Brock Lesnar murderously squashed Braun Strowman in a 3-minute massacre for the Universal Championship at Crown Jewel, albeit with a little bit of an assist from Baron Corbin, and that's that. We've now got a Universal Champion who we don't want once again, and on the other side of that coin, you've got Braun Strowman, who is presumably going into a program with Baron Corbin, if Raw's anything to go by, potentially for the entire winter. Now, I like Baron Corbin, but you can't tell me that from this pay-per-view, that was the end result that anybody wanted. But we can't say this era hasn't been coming. Throughout 2018, WWE has routinely served up a smorgasbord of baffling bullshit. The creative team is no longer creative, they're just a sardonic firing squad who keep doing weird shit and we're just expected to ignore these little discrepancies. In 2018, WWE have somehow managed to riddle with gaping bullet holes Asuka, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley, the returning Daniel Bryan, the integrity of the entire Raw Tag Team division, and the best program they have come up with in 2018 is Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch, and even that was an accidental success. So yes, it's fair to say the current WWE product is in the toilet. It's in a terrible state of affairs, but it's become so unfathomably ridiculous that, assuming you are actually going to continue watching, the only thing you can do is laugh. I mean, let's be honest, really, how else are you supposed to react to a bald-headed sexy boy Shawn Michaels ripping the wig and mask off a 51-year-old mayoral demon Kane? I can't even believe I'm having to say those words. The only response to any of that is complete, utter and total hysterical laughter. Last week, WhatCulture.com's Michael Sidgwick wrote that TV network Fox might yet redefine and improve WWE creative under its regulative vision. But, to be fair, unless Fox are going to boot the damn thing while they're at it, then to be honest, we're pretty bollocksed. Unless, of course, you've got a very dark sense of humour, in which case, this is probably your favourite worst nightmare right about now, because WWE has just become the best, worst wrestling promotion in the world. So that's it, that's our video on the new era in WWE. Sorry, I realised that probably wasn't the happy-go-lucky video you were looking for today, but let's be honest, that's the product right now. I can't lie about it. If it's negative, then I've got to talk about it. I would love for the product to be positive, but right about now, it's just in a state of, honestly, disbelief is the word. But that's my thoughts on it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and share. Hit the old subscribe button if you haven't already. If you want to read the original article by Michael Sidgwick, head over to whatculture.com/WWE. Or if you just want some more videos, possibly to cheer you up, there should be a couple over there somewhere. I'm Adam Nicholas, and I'll see you next time.